back on Southeastern 16 with Max Barr. Our third live stream of the past
Number
hour and a
3.
half, 2 hours maybe.
Number 3.
We told you we were going live a lot today, and we've done that so far. 2 live streams already. Tennessee's big win over Florida. Missouri's big win at Mississippi State. And now we talk about the Auburn Tigers picking up their 20th win of the season, 13-1 now in quad 1 games.
Woo.
I said, Max, and I said this without even I almost like second-guessed myself. I said it's easily the best resume for any team in college basketball history through 21 games, to be 13-1 in quad 1 games, to be 20-1 overall. And so, yeah, wild stuff. So Auburn gets the win, 92-82 at Ole Miss. The chat is on Max because how dare Max try to pick an upset somewhere in the predictions, folks. Come on now. Max can pull it up. He can pick an upset anytime he wants.
Give it to me. That's
just because he decided to pick against your Auburn Tigers, you can all calm down, all right? Stay off my man Max. He's embracing it. He'll take it. But, Max, you know what that means.
Rope it open the corner.
Myself and Chris Lee have now moved one step closer in the picks contest. Mitch T, $2. Max, how can you pick against the fighting Tigers? How could you, Max? How could you do it? He did it. And so if you want to send us for money for Max picking, he'll pick against them every single time if you guys are going to send in the super chats. All right, let's see what else we've got. Zach continues the streak, $5 super chat. I wonder how that other team in the state did against Ole Miss. Oh, boy. Andrew, $4.99. Doesn't matter if they're the Black Bears, the Land Sharks, or the Rebels. They still take the L's. So Andrew weighing in on the Rebels. Quinn going to give us a $100 super chat. Now, Quinn, don't call out my guy Max. We'll give you the $100 super chat. Don't ever doubt it again. Pathetic, Max Barr.
That's what I'm here for.
Tony, $100 super chat as well. The War Dam, Max with a good reverse psychology. Max knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. There are levels to this game here. Chris's internet, not so sure. But, all right, let's get out on the game. Thoughts initially, Max, on the victory for the Tigers?
You know, sometimes you try to take the path less traveled and be a little bit of a rebel.
Wow. The path less traveled.
And then Auburn decides to show why they have the number 1 offense in the nation. Drop 50% from 3 for the first time all season. You're welcome, Auburn fans. 41 points in the first half. I say, what's that scrub little number of 41 points? 51 points in the second half. Guys, the projection on this game was 77-71. This thing finished 92-82. Unbelievable.
Unreal.
It was. I'm watching this game, right? And obviously I've got the rogue Ole Miss pick trying to pull an upset on number 1. And it was just Ole Miss would battle back. They would get like maybe 2 stops in a row, get it down to like 4, boom, 3 ball, boom, and 1. It just, there was never, I'm sitting here and I'm saying, can we just get 3 stops in a row? Can we get 3 stops in a row? It was 76-70. Can we just get a few stops? Denver Jones wide open, money. Just the offense for Auburn, even though the defense in the second half, I think it was Justin Ferguson, tweeted out the number. It was like one of the worst defensive halves for Auburn that second half. Didn't matter because the offense was so good. Didn't even matter. And Broome wasn't even that big of a part of it. It was the guards. You've got Denver Jones and Tahaad Pettiford playing point guard lobs, dunk contest on the road. Ridiculous. I'll take my lumps. Give me the lumps. Got the pick wrong.
Well, we're going to give them to you because James is going to give us $2 in super chats for my loyalty. But however, you're fired, Max Barr, he said. Come on, we can't fire Max. He's still technically in the lead in the pick'em contest. I know Gabe about to throw a shot here. Let's see where it's at. Hey, Max, how's the pick'em going? Haven't been able to watch, but I've been relying on the expertise all season. So, Max,
I am now 44-16. I'm 44-16. And then Chris and Blake are 43-17. So we're all right there. Yep.
Folks, if you want to know the rest of the day what you need to be rooting for, there's only one thing. That is a Texas Longhorns win at LSU. Because if that happens, all of a sudden, what is it, Max? Are we tied, or do I have the lead at that point? We're
then
tied,
you and
right?
I would be tied.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I need Texas to come through. But as for this game, I tell you, this is one where there were plenty of moments in this game where you're thinking, all right, this is the opportunity for Ole Miss to turn the tables here, to make that big run that you have to make if you're going to beat a team like Auburn, which only Duke has been able to do so far. And you're thinking, it kept getting close enough to where you're thinking, all right, they're the home team. This is where you make your money right here. Like, a couple big possessions, take a 3 or 4 point lead, keep it a little bit comfortable there, just have a little bit of a cushion. You're not going to get a 10-point cushion against Auburn, but have a little bit of a cushion heading into the final stretch run of the game. Every single time that happened, it was either Dylan Cardwell getting an offensive rebound and a kick out for a 3, for Baker-Mazara hitting the 3.
Yeah.
It was Broome making a big play. It was the Pettiford, monster jam. It was Denver Jones making a big play. Miles Kelly hitting a big shot. Like, every single time I felt like Ole Miss had that chance to get that run that, again, you have to beat the number one team in the country. They just could never get there because it was the number one team in the country making play after play after play. And it felt like they just were not fazed, Max. And we've seen that all season, right? They just were not fazed by any sort of adversity. And I know people in the chat are pointing out the referee and all. I get it. Any type of adversity that Auburn faced in this game, it didn't faze them. Great atmosphere. We knew it would be. Anytime the number one team in the country goes on the road, great atmosphere. But once again, it goes back to the full team aspect, right? Broome, best player in the country.
Yep.
Probably going to have a great chance to win the National Player of the Year. But it's just all the other guys. The formation of the team, it was just, I was most impressed by that. There were plenty of things to be impressed by here, but it felt like every single opportunity Ole Miss had to get the lead and or, keep it within a point to where you felt like they could hold a lead here against this Auburn team. Auburn was the team making the play every single time, and that was the difference in the game.
Yeah, Zach brings up a great point here. Auburn just has so many weapons. And when you look through the ESPN game flow of where the score line was, I'll just read through three different quick examples to back Zach's point up there. So right before half, there's a minute before half, Brakefield hits a 2 to make it 35-34. Auburn's winning with 1 minute left. The next 2 possessions, Denver Jones made 3-ball, Johni Broome made 3-ball. Auburn goes up into half, up by 7 instead of up by 1 just a minute earlier. Then out of halftime, Ole Miss claws back. They get it into 1. Sean Pedulla hits a 3, and it's 44-43. Auburn's up by 1. The next possession right after that, Miles Kelly 3-ball stretches the lead back out. One last example. Murrell makes a layup with 11 minutes left. Draws Ole Miss within 2, 56-54. The next possession, Miles Kelly made 3. It was just every single time it got close, boom, there's a clean, and it was not like, just a crazy game where a team just makes a bunch of tough shots and they answer every time, hand in their face. How did this guy make it? It was clean offense, open shots, offensive rebound, kick out to a perfect just nice, comfortable 3-ball. And Ole Miss, why it was so impressive, it is not easy to do against this defense at all. And they 92 points could have been more. Man, that was a statement there. That was a statement. And that's crazy.
For real.
That's crazy. That's a statement.
Yeah, great point. I mean, it's a great point in terms of the clean offense because teams don't get clean offense against Ole Miss. It's just been a hard thing to do. And again, I know people will talk about the difference in the Ole Miss Alabama game, the Ole Miss Auburn game. We get it, rival fan bases. But it is a good point, though. If you really think about it, in terms of how they were able to dictate that game. And that's exactly what we said. If they were going to win this game, it had to be a similar scenario where somehow they just frustrate Auburn offensively to the point to where they have more turnovers. But as Deacon points out here, 22 assists for Auburn in this game. The passing was just crisp and, again, clean. It was just they were able, and I think this really was a game that showcased the unselfishness of this Auburn team because it felt like they were always in a position to make that extra pass. You're always going to have, some games throughout the course of a game where you're like, that's a bad shot. But I didn't think Auburn took a lot of bad shots here in terms of, having opportunities to maybe take some of those with the physicality that Ole Miss plays with defensively, but they'd make that pass. Sometimes it really was that extra pass that was the difference and gave them that open shot. So, Max, that's why they've been so good offensively this year. We've talked about it time and time again, this being just an absolute juggernaut on offense. And, to go in and, like you said, 92 points on the road at Ole Miss. It's not something you expect to do when you're going in playing a top 15 defensive team in the country. And yet there were times where Auburn they kept going. The 14-28 from three, like we said, 22 assists on, I guess it was 30 made baskets, right? Yeah. So 22 of 30 made baskets. They assisted on that shows you unselfish team, got guys across the board that can score. And that was all they needed here to pick up the win.
Yeah, Auburn has already won, 5 road games. They only play 4 more.
Yeah.
They're at Vandy, at Alabama, and then 2 of the last 3 games are at Kentucky, at A&M. The month of February, they have 2 road games.
Speaking of something here, we normally don't do this, but I just looked up because I have not looked at the screen for like 2 minutes.
Oklahoma's
as Zach points out here, Oklahoma just went on a 16-0 run in 3 minutes. 3 minutes flat. They went on a 16-0 run against Vanderbilt.
It's bananas.
I thought I was like, wait a second, is the score wrong? But then I'm like, whoa, hold on a second. So looking like the Southeastern 16 kiss of death. Maybe reaching the Commodores here on this one. But yeah,
I got some numbers for you.
Give me some numbers because I was about to give you a number. Give me some numbers.
We've gotten to the point now where I can really start leaning on some of these analytics because they're pretty set in stone now. Auburn's got the best offense in the history of college basketball. Sorry if you don't agree with me. You're wrong. Like, I'm sorry. But up to this year, the best offense in the history of college basketball was Wisconsin's at 129 points per 100 possessions. Auburn's at 131 points per 100 possessions, a full 2 points over the previous best offense. You can disagree with me all you want. The numbers are the numbers. It's the best ever. Sorry.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know. That is wild. That's a great comment. Big Baller Brett unsubscribed. Big Baller Brett's out of here. Big Baller Brett, your team's doing fine. Why are you unsubscribing? So James, are you still trying to get in on the sponsoring the Salty Escapes boat rental in Orange Beach, Alabama? If you are, I don't know why the emails aren't coming through, but keep sending them. I don't know why we've not gotten that yet, but you can send it to one of us if you'd like. You can contact us on Twitter too if you want to. No, look, again, the numbers are what they are. It is just, and the thing is, look, I keep bringing it up, but I'm like, this is, they're 8-0 now in the SEC, and 20-1 overall, as we mentioned. They get 5 of their next 7 at home. They play Oklahoma, Florida, back-to-back road games at Vanderbilt, Alabama. That could be a tricky week, of course. We understand the reasons why. Vanderbilt's kind of been the giant killer over the past week or so at home. At Alabama, speaks for itself. Then you got home games against Arkansas, Georgia, and Ole Miss before you finish up with that stretch at Kentucky, at A&M, home against Alabama. Like, Ken Pom has Auburn right now going 16-2 in the toughest conference in the history of college basketball.
Yeah.
What else do you say?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I normally don't push back on stuff like this, but I've got a comment here. Max, if you think Auburn has the best offense in history of college basketball, you're really showing your age. thought that would probably come up. Listen, the 3-point line got introduced into college basketball in 86, 87. So I don't want to hear a single offense before that. Ken Pom started in 97. This is by far the best offense in the history of Ken Pom. So if maybe you can find me an offense between 87 and 97 that you think is better than this, I'll hear you out. But no, this is the best. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, look, you're going to look at some of those either Patino, Kentucky teams, Loyola Marymount teams. We've talked about them before in terms of just the ridiculous numbers they were putting up. And I knew 96 Kentucky would be brought up. I knew it would. But again, if you're just looking at it statistically, and sure, like the Pete Maravich teams, we get it. But remember, too, like we said, I think you're basing this on the numbers. And the numbers right now tell us that it's true. Now, we've still got, quite a few games to go in the season.
Yeah.
So there's still time for it to kind of be locked down at some point. But right now, it's like, who are we expecting to lock them down defensively? I mean, Tennessee somewhat did, but I think Auburn's going to score more than 53 points against most teams, the rest of the way. So,
you're not arguing with me.
No,
you're not arguing with me. You're arguing with the number.
No.
So don't be mad at me.
Yeah, those UNLV teams, they had some pretty offense, too, in the Jerry Tarkanian days. But, yeah, so there you go. So like I said, I mean, Ken Pom's got Auburn projected at 16-2 in the league right now, based on the numbers. He's got Alabama at 13-5. So, right now there's a 1-game difference. I think Alabama's going to win this game against Georgia. So, we all think that. We'll see if it happens. But that, again, just kind of shows you that one more game now for Auburn at the midway point, and it's just, it's going to be nuts. Like, I can't, like, it is not just what they're doing from a record standpoint, it's who they're doing it against. And it is, again, within the context of how strong the SEC is right now. And so, that kind of tells you where we are, Max. So,
wow, I just popped back in at the right time. My internet just went down for like 15 seconds. What'd you say?
Where's Chris? Is he coming back? Like, did he just leave? He hopped on for 30 seconds and said, "I'm out of here." So,
I heard you say 16-2 though, talking about Auburn's
the Ken Pom projection. Yeah, got him at 16.
When I went on with Ike Jones War Report, before SEC play started, we went through game by game and predicted each outcome, and we came up with a 16-2 conference record for Auburn. I tried to nail one of those two today with Ole Miss. I figured you got through Texas, South Carolina, Georgia, LSU, all on the road, got through all of them. Ole Miss has got to be the best team out of that group. Surely one of them is going to get them. Nope.
No.
If Ole Miss can't, if Texas can't, can Vandy? I don't know.
I mean, like, Vandy it's one of those interesting games, like I said, just because, I mean, they're doing what they're doing at home right now, but right now on the road, as we said, boy, they run into quite a rough spot here in the second half for them. But 499 Super Chat, we appreciate that. As always, I know the 18-0s are flying in the chat right now. A lot of 18-0s in the chat with the Auburn fans, so we appreciate you guys weighing in as always. Again, if you're in here, hit the like button. Got a lot of you people watching as always after these. Remember, if you are a Missouri fan, if you're a Tennessee fan, we reacted to those games about a half hour each. We've already done reaction streams for those two today. Coming back tonight for members, we'll do the watch along for Kentucky, Arkansas. Primetime reaction show tonight will be a little later than usual because it's not going to come until after Kentucky, Arkansas, which may be 10:30 Central Time. So late reaction, which we'll probably talk again about Auburn, I'm sure. And this game here in particular. So, but there you go. All right. How do you comment on a super chat? I don't know. I don't know how you comment on a super chat. I know I can give a super chat, but I don't know how to comment on one. But, all right. What else do we have here that we maybe have not gotten to? Let's see. Oh, Zach had a $5 super chat earlier. Credit to Sean Pedulla. I didn't think Zach didn't think he could hang against Auburn's length at the guard position. Respect to him. So, yeah, I mean, we always talk about Pedulla, Max. He's just rock solid. And again, if we made the comment, was it probably a week or so ago? We're just gonna lock Ole Miss in the Elite Eight. Like, we're just gonna find their path to get there. Pedulla will be one of the reasons why. He's just that older guard, just kind of pretty collected in these kind of games, and so he'll fuel them there if they do get there. So
Ole Miss is such a if you don't pay attention to SEC basketball like as closely as we do, you might think Ole Miss is reeling right now, like bad. They're on a bad stretch. Lost 4 of their last 5. The only win was by 3 against Texas. Blake, still somehow feel good about the team moving forward.
yeah,
I don't think they looked bad today.
they didn't. No, they didn't look bad. It just Auburn does that to you.
Auburn's just too good offensively.
They are. That's just that's the way it works. So, all right, let's see if there's anything else. I know we got $2 super chat here. Let me pull this up. Virginia double dribble, $2 super chat. Can Auburn lose out and make the tournament? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they could.
Yeah.
They absolutely could right now. There's no question about it. That's just absurd, but it's true. Because they're 13-1 in quad 1 games. Like even if they lost out, they'd finish like 13 and what would it? They'd be like 13-9 in quad 1 games.
Maybe they're fine.
It'd be ridiculous. But anyways, so
I put out some numbers yesterday, and it just goes to show like how elite this offense is. Really, month of January, there was only 6 guys in the SEC that had a usage rate of 28% or higher. Just the amount of possessions you get used. And then I ordered them by Ken Palm's offensive efficiency rating. Broome and Pettiford were both 1 and 2 at 114 and 112. And then Zurich Phelps, Jordan Sears, AJ Hogarth, Jeremiah Fears were all 100 or less. That is okay. So the difference between Fears at 88 and Phelps at 100 is the same difference between Broome and Pettiford and Phelps. Just light years ahead efficiency wise, even at extremely high volume, extremely high usage, still getting extremely clean looks almost every time down. It's just something we haven't seen in a while.
No, it's not. And so, if you just look at the numbers again, it's like the numbers just don't lie. I think that's really what it comes down to, like in terms of how great they've been offensively. And you just look at some of the individual numbers too, right? And I pointed out too, like the Evan Mia numbers about how the individual offensive numbers for the Auburn guys and how pretty much everyone in that rotation are all like in the top 18 or 20 in the SEC, like in individual offensive ratings. And I just think it shows you like the balance we talked about here they had in this game where Broome with 20, you've got 18 from Baker-Mazara, 16 from Denver Jones, 15 from Miles Kelly, 10 from Cardwell, 9 from Pettiford. It's like all of these guys are just ranking. Even, Chaney Johnson only has 2 points in this game, and they went by 10 on the road against the top 25 team. So, look, here's an interesting question, James. We'll entertain it. We're not going to put any kind of, we're not going to put the voodoo on them or anything, but I'm not going to put the jinx. But if they win out, greatest regular season of all time. I think when you put it within the context of the historical nature of the SEC this season, the argument has to be made. Just because, again, right now the SEC is, it's on. It will finish, I think, as the greatest single season performance by any conference, at least in the Ken Palm era. But even if you go beyond that, right? It's like there were conferences that had 8 or 9 teams before that. Even if you have 10 or 12 teams, this is a 16-team league, and I just think the numbers don't lie when it comes to that. So if they did, yes, I think the argument would be made without question. So long way to go to get there, but there you go.
They've got 1, 2, 3. They've got 4 guys shooting 40% or better from 3. Broome's not included.
Yeah.
In those 4 guys. It's ridiculous. To put it into perspective, Auburn's scoring 131 points per 100 possessions right now. UConn, winning the national championship last year, had one of the best offenses I've ever seen in my life. They were 127.5 points per 100 possessions. No. So it's just nuts. It's crazy. It's crazy talk.
Well, again, the upcoming schedules, we said Auburn will host Oklahoma on Tuesday. Then they host Florida next Saturday. Go to Vanderbilt after that. Go to Alabama. So yeah, pretty fun 4 games coming up here for Auburn to kind of keep this streak going. Meanwhile, for Ole Miss, as we said, have now lost 4 of 5, and they get a big home game against Kentucky on Tuesday. That is a huge one for Ole Miss at this point now. Knowing you've lost 2 of your last 3 at home. So they get that, and they got back-to-back road games at LSU, South Carolina. So you would think if you're Ole Miss, like that's where you feel like you can pick up a little bit of your, the slack here after playing just a brutal stretch of games. Maybe you go on the road and win at LSU and South Carolina, but as we know, those 2 teams have not been the easiest to play at home, just like everybody else in the SEC, no matter what South Carolina's record is or LSU's record. So, yeah, because after that home game against Kentucky, Max, Ole Miss, 4 of their next 5 on the road after that. So, yeah. I mean, look, when we say this, like, we're obviously not talking danger zone of NCAA tournament for any of these teams in this level, but it's just, if you're talking about, within the context of where you finish in the SEC and seeding and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
No, that's the thing that, like, even I struggle with it sometimes, is putting into the national scale of perspective of how good the teams we're nitpicking right now are compared to a national scale. Like, we're talking about Ole Miss on a skid, just needs to get a win, needs to get something together. They're 22nd in KenPom. That's the 3rd best team in the Big East. So it's like we're picking them apart, and we're, down on them for losing 4 out of their last 5. They'd be a top 3 team in pretty much any conference.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Our thoughts on Auburn with another victory here. And as we said, here's the plan for the rest of the evening. If you're an Auburn fan, you can check back in tonight. The Primetime Reaction Show will have more thoughts on this game. I'm sure. Hopefully we'll have Chris's thoughts and internet's working by that point. And we'll also, again, be doing the watch along for Kentucky, Arkansas. If you're a member of it just means more to you. Boom. We're going to watch that game live. John Calipari's return to Lexington, 8 p.m. Central Time. You can check it out here on the channel. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the like button if you haven't already. We appreciate you guys. Okay. Hey, Virginia Double Dribble says, we're checking back in after the Georgia win. Well, listen, if Georgia beats Alabama, we might have to go live again. But we'll see about that. Anyways, we'll give you additional thoughts on that a little bit later. But, all right, we appreciate you guys watching. Remember, a lot of stuff coming up still today. 2 more streams at least. 1 for members. More. 1 for the primetime show late night tonight. So there you go. We appreciate you guys watching. Thanks as always for your support of the channel. And we'll talk to you soon. Southeastern 16.